Guys, listen, before you scroll past this, before you leave another angry comment, before you share that proof post for the 100th time, I need you to hear something. And I mean really hear it. There's a storm brewing online right now, and if you've been anywhere near social media in the past few weeks, you felt it. The posts, the arguments, the screenshots, the evidence. People are going to war in comment sections over two people they've never met, defending a relationship they were never part of, and attacking strangers who dare to suggest that maybe, just maybe, what we're seeing isn't what we think it is. But here's the thing nobody wants to say out loud: almost everything flooding your feed right now is old. Like, really old. We're talking photos from 2, 3, even 4 years ago being dragged out of the archives, slapped with a new caption, and served up like breaking news. Someone finds a behind-the-scenes clip from 2021, adds a heart emoji and some dramatic music, and suddenly it's treated like it dropped yesterday. It's not new content. It's recycled nostalgia dressed up as current events. And it's working because we want it to work. We want to believe there's something fresh happening, some secret romance unfolding behind the scenes. But the truth? Nothing new has actually happened. The timeline hasn't moved. The story hasn't changed. We're just watching the same scenes on repeat, hoping this time the ending will be different. And honestly, I get it. I really do. Because when you've spent hours, no, let's be real, probably days at this point, watching two people light up the screen together, it starts to feel personal. You start to root for them. You start to hope. You think, if they could just see what we see, they'd realize they're perfect together. And when you find out they're not actually a couple in real life, it stings. It feels like a betrayal, even though logically, you know it shouldn't. Because somewhere along the way, their story became your story. Their happiness became tied to your happiness. And letting go of that. That's not easy. It's not about being delusional or dramatic or any of the other labels people throw around. It's about being human. It's about investing emotionally in something beautiful and not wanting it to end. Fans aren't holding on because they're foolish, they're holding on because they're hopeful. And hope, messy as it can be, is one of the most human things we have. But let's talk about why it's so hard to let go in the first place. Because this isn't just about two actors who work well together. This is about two people who have a kind of chemistry that doesn't come around often. You know the kind I'm talking about, the kind that makes you forget you're watching a movie. The kind where the glances linger a little too long, where the smiles feel a little too real, where the emotions hit you square in the chest and don't let go. It's not manufactured. It's not rehearsed to death. It just is. And that's the problem, really. Because when something feels that authentic, when two people connect on screen in a way that feels effortless and raw and deeply emotional, your brain doesn't want to believe it's just acting. It wants to believe it's real. It needs to believe it's real. Because if it's real, then love like that is possible. If it's real, then maybe, just maybe, you'll find something like that too. And so the line between performance and reality starts to blur, and before you know it, you're not watching characters anymore, you're watching two people you're convinced are meant to be together. Here's where it gets even more complicated, though. For a lot of people, these movies aren't just entertainment. They are survival. They're the thing you put on after a terrible day at work when you feel like the world is crushing you. They're the escape you need when your own love life is a disaster, when you're heartbroken, when you're lonely, when you're tired of being strong all the time. You call up on the couch, you press play, and for 2 hours, you get to believe in something pure and beautiful and hopeful. You get to feel something other than stress or sadness or emptiness. And that's not trivial. That's not some shallow fan obsession. That's people finding comfort in art, finding a lifeline in storytelling. These characters, these love stories, they give people something to hold on to when everything else feels like it's falling apart. So when someone comes along and says, hey, it's not real, they're just actors, move on, it's not that simple. Because what fans are holding on to isn't just a relationship between two actors. It's the feeling those stories gave them. It's the hope. It's the reminder that love can be kind and patient and worth fighting for. Now, does that mean it's okay to refuse reality? Does it mean fans get a free pass to ignore the truth or invade people's personal lives? Absolutely not. And this is where we have to pump the brakes and have an honest conversation. Because here's the thing, hoping two people might end up together is harmless. It's sweet, even. But when hope turns into entitlement, when it turns into harassment, when it turns into people showing up at someone's house or sending hateful messages to their actual partners or writing conspiracy theories about why they must be lying, that's when we've crossed the line. That's when we've stopped being fans and started being a problem. Because at the end of the day, Sonia and Maurice, or whoever the actors are in your particular fandom, they are real people. They have real lives. They make real choices. And those choices don't belong to us. They never did. We don't get a vote. We don't get to demand they live their lives according to our fantasies. And we definitely don't get to make them uncomfortable or unsafe because we're not happy with their decisions. So where does that leave us? Are we supposed to just stop caring? Are we supposed to flip a switch and turn off all those feelings overnight? Of course not. You can't just delete emotional investment like it's a bad photo on your phone. But what you can do, what we all can do, is find a balance. You can love the movies. You can rewatch them 1,000 times. You can cry at the same scenes, laugh at the same jokes, swoon over the same moments. You can appreciate the magic these two people create together on screen. You can even hold on to a tiny, quiet hope in the back of your mind that maybe, someday, something could happen. But you can also respect their boundaries. You can accept the reality they've shared with the world. You can celebrate their work without trying to control their lives. Because here's a truth that might be hard to swallow but is important nonetheless, loving someone's art doesn't mean owning their story. And let's be honest for a second, don't you think they know? Don't you think they've seen the comments, the edits, the posts, the theories? Don't you think they are aware that millions of people are watching their every move, analyzing every interaction, looking for signs? That's a lot of pressure. That's a lot of eyes on you, all the time, waiting for you to confirm or deny something that was never yours to confirm or deny in the first place. Imagine living like that. Imagine not being able to post a picture with a friend, not being able to smile at a coworker, not being able to live your life without it being dissected and turned into evidence for or against a relationship you've already said doesn't exist. It's exhausting just thinking about it. And yet, they keep showing up. They keep making beautiful work. They keep giving us these incredible stories. The least we can do is give them the space to be human. Here's something else worth considering. What if the reason their chemistry is so electric is precisely because there's no romantic pressure in real life? What if the trust and comfort they have with each other comes from a deep friendship or a strong professional bond that doesn't need to be romantic to be meaningful? What if trying to force them into a box they don't fit into would actually ruin the very thing we love about them? Think about it. Some of the best on-screen partnerships in history have been between people who were just friends, or who respected each other deeply as artists but had zero romantic involvement. And that's okay. In fact, it's more than okay, it's actually pretty special. Because it means the connection we see is built on trust, respect, and genuine affection, not obligation or expectation. It means they are choosing to create magic together, not because they have to, but because they want to. And honestly, that's even more beautiful than any off-screen romance could ever be. But I know what some of you are thinking. You're thinking, but what about that interview? What about that look? What about that one time they said something that could totally be interpreted as romantic? And look, I hear you. I've been down those rabbit holes too. I've seen the compilations. I've read the threads. And yes, there are moments that make you wonder. There are interviews where the energy is undeniable, where the banter is flirty, where you think, okay, there's no way that's just acting. And maybe there isn't. Maybe there is a deep love there, just not the kind we've decided it has to be. Maybe it's the kind of love that comes from years of working together, from trusting each other with vulnerable performances, from building something beautiful as a team. Maybe it's a love that doesn't need a label or a relationship status to be valid. Because not all love looks the same. Not all connection has to be romantic. And forcing it into that box because it's the only kind of love we're comfortable celebrating. That says more about us than it does about them. Let's also talk about the role social media plays in all of this, because it's huge. Algorithms thrive on emotion. They thrive on drama. They thrive on content that makes people feel something, anything, because feeling makes you engage, and engaging makes you stay, and staying makes them money. So when old photos resurface, when fan theories go viral, when people start fighting in the comments, the algorithm doesn't care that it's based on recycled content or wishful thinking. It just sees engagement and says, more of this. And suddenly, you're in an echo chamber where everyone believes the same thing, where dissenting opinions get shouted down, where the story gets bigger and more dramatic and further from reality with every passing day. It becomes a feedback loop. And breaking out of that loop requires stepping back, taking a breath, and asking yourself, am I believing this because there's actual evidence, or because I want it to be true? That's not an easy question to sit with. But it's a necessary one. And here's the uncomfortable part that nobody likes to admit: sometimes, we get so attached to the idea of something that we forget to appreciate what's actually in front of us. We get so busy hoping for a real-life romance that we stop fully enjoying the movies themselves. We start watching interviews looking for clues instead of just enjoying two talented people talking about their craft. We start analyzing every social media post for hidden meanings instead of just appreciating the content. We turn something joyful into a detective mission, and in the process, we lose sight of why we fell in love with their work in the first place. Because the work, the actual movies, the performances, the stories, they're incredible on their own. They don't need a real-life romance to validate them. They don't need behind-the-scenes drama to make them matter. They are already enough, exactly as they are. So what's the path forward? How do we honor our feelings without disrespecting theirs? How do we hold on to the magic without crossing boundaries? It starts with a choice. A choice to enjoy the fantasy while respecting the reality. A choice to celebrate what they give us without demanding more. A choice to let them be human beings with private lives and personal autonomy. It starts with recognizing that we can love something deeply without possessing it. We can be moved by a story without needing it to extend beyond the screen. We can be grateful for the escape, the comfort, the hope these movies provide while understanding that the people who made them don't owe us their personal lives as a bonus feature. It's about growing up a little bit, as fans and as people, and realizing that real support looks like respect, not pressure. Here's the thing I want to leave you with, the thing I really need you to understand: loving Sonia and Maurice, or any actors, any public figures, any artist, doesn't have to come with strings attached. You don't have to prove your loyalty by defending a relationship that doesn't exist. You don't have to feel betrayed when reality doesn't match your expectations. You don't have to choose between being a fan and being respectful. You can be both. You can treasure every movie, every scene, every moment they've given you, and still wish them happiness in whatever form that takes for them, not for you. You can keep the magic alive in your own heart without insisting the world bend to match it. Because at the end of the day, that's what maturity looks like. That's what real love of art, of people, of the stories that move us actually is. So here's my challenge to you: go ahead and rewatch your favorite movie tonight. Let yourself feel everything. Cry at the sad parts, smile at the sweet ones, get swept up in the romance. But when it's over, when the credits roll, take a breath and let it be what it is: a beautiful story, brilliantly told, by two incredible people who deserve your respect as much as your admiration. And then, come back and tell me, what's your favorite moment from their movies, and why? Let's celebrate the work, not the speculation. Let's be the kind of fans they'd actually be proud to have. Dio.